Hey friends, if you have clicked on this video, chances are that something inside of you is whispering that what you've experienced wasn't just love that went wrong. Maybe you're out of the relationship, or maybe you're still in it, but you can't stop thinking about them. You feel stuck or confused, you feel guilty, even obsessed, and you have no idea why. I'm Beanie, and I survived a decade-long abusive relationship with a very dangerous man. I know the ins and outs of trauma bonding because I lived it, I breathed it, and I finally broke it. Not because I'm special, but because I got radically honest with myself and I found the tools that actually help me to detach and heal. Everything that I share with you comes from lived experience. It's important that you know that I have a survivor's perspective on how to heal, and that I recognize that this is not always a one-size-fits-all experience. The tools and the strategies that I offer are created from my own experiences, trial and error, and a lot of grief and a lot of joy. My goal in all of these videos is to educate you, to empower you, and also for you to feel seen and supported and heard, because I know that healing, growth, and change are absolutely possible. So today I'm going to give you 5 really clear signs that you're trauma bonded, and you might not even realize it. I'm also going to share with you what you can do next, including a free trauma bond quiz that I created, because knowledge is power, and this quiz could just be the light bulb moment that you've been needing. Okay, so first off, what is a trauma bond? If you don't already know this, a trauma bond is a really deep, intense attachment that forms between a survivor and their abuser. And it's not love. It's not even chemistry, but it is chemical. And it's the result of intermittent abuse followed by breadcrumbs of, kindness and affection, or even remorse, over and over again. It messes with your nervous system and it rewires your brain to believe that the person that's hurting you is also the one that can save you. And that's why you feel hooked. That's why you miss them. That's why you might feel like you're going crazy when you're away from them. This isn't just emotional, it's psychological. And it's why people stay in abusive relationships long after the logical part of their brain knows that it's unsafe. Okay, number 1, this is your first clear sign that you're in a trauma bond. This is one of the biggest mind games in a trauma bond, and that is the highlight reel, right? You obsess over the good times. When you're trauma bonded, your brain becomes a curator and it cherry picks the good memories, those intense moments of connection or passion or peace, and it replays them like a movie montage. You'll say to yourself things like, he wasn't always like this, or we had such an amazing connection at the beginning, or he just gets triggered, but I know the real him underneath. Here's the truth. Trauma bonds are formed through intermittent reinforcement, which means they hurt you, then they reward you over and over. This pattern is addictive, and it's the same psychological mechanism used in both casinos and cults. That's how powerful it is. In my case, we had this, romantic Hawaii trip. It was fun. It was full of inside jokes and beautiful photos. We had some memorable moments. But what I pushed out of my mind was where he choked me, locked me out of the hotel room, and threatened to slit my throat because I didn't make eye contact with him when I was walking back from the bathroom. The good times don't cancel the abuse. They're just part of the trap. So if you're holding on to memories to justify staying or justify the pain, that's not love. That's the trauma bond trying to survive. Okay, number 2. You blame yourself for everything. This one is a slow burn. And honestly, it's what keeps most survivors stuck for years. When you're trauma bonded, you don't just tolerate bad behavior. You internalize it. You think, maybe I overreacted, or, he said I triggered his trauma. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed him. If I just communicated, maybe he wouldn't have, shut down on me again. here's what you need to know. Blame is how survivors regain a sense of control in an out of control environment. If the abuse is your fault, then you believe you can fix it. But the truth is, you never could. Because no matter how gentle or accommodating or quiet or supportive or forgiving you were, they still did what they did. In my relationship, I became obsessed with doing things right? Work out more, cook more, clean more, cater to his every need more, be less emotional, be less needy, be less jealous, making myself smaller and smaller. Meanwhile, he, of course, did nothing to change. In fact, he proceeded to get worse and worse in his treatment to me. See, so self-blame is not accountability. It's survival, and it's a symptom of trauma bonding. If you keep thinking, maybe it was me, that's the trauma bond talking. Okay, here we go. Number 3. This one shocks most people until they go through it. You feel physical withdrawal when you try to leave. And I wouldn't have believed this had I not experienced it myself. But when you try to break free from someone you're trauma bonded to, your body goes into crisis. And it's not just emotional, it's actually physical. You might feel nausea or shakiness or a tight chest. You might have racing thoughts or insomnia. You might have intense panic or dread when they don't text you back. You might feel like a deep aching, longing that feels absolutely unbearable. It's so intense, you start questioning if this pain is a sign that you're just meant to be. Let me make this very clear. Withdrawal is not love. It's your nervous system detoxing from the high stress roller coaster of the relationship. Your brain got addicted to the cycle. Dopamine during love bombing, cortisol during fights, adrenaline during the chaos. That's what it feels like when you're coming off of a drug, because you are. If you feel physically unwell or emotionally unraveled when you go no contact, you're not crazy. You're trauma bonded and your body is beginning to recalibrate. Okay, number 4 has a lot of shame attached to it. You keep going back, even after awful incidences. You swore this time was different. You blocked their number. You made a list of reasons why it's over. You felt strong. Then they text or they DM or they pop up in person and suddenly you're back. You don't even understand how or why. They lied to you. They hurt you. They made you feel small. So why are you crying in the bathroom after hearing their voice again, right? It's because trauma bonding convinces you that their tiny crumbs of kindness mean everything. You interpret a text that says, I miss you, as growth for them. You interpret a half-assed apology as remorse, or maybe a night of good sex as a reconciliation. In my story, there was physical, verbal, sexual abuse, multiple affairs, even restraining orders. We were apart for 3 months at one point, and it was in that 3 months that I had constant stalking, harassing, police at my home daily. And finally, after 3 months, it was one response to his call coming from a bat phone and agreeing to meet him in person. And I went back. Let me repeat. I went back, not because it was love, but because the bond made me believe that I could not exist without him. If you keep returning to someone who repeatedly hurts you, it's not a weakness, it's a wound, and wounds need healing, not shame. Number 5, you feel like you will die without them. This is the most painful part of a trauma bond. The belief that you are nothing without them, that no one else will ever understand you, that even in all the mess, they're your person. And it's going to show up like, I know it's toxic, but I can't imagine a life without them. Or what if I leave and they finally become who I always knew they could be? Or I'll never find that connection again. What you're experiencing is a survival-based attachment. It happens when you grow up feeling unsafe or abandoned or neglected, and you confuse chaos with intimacy. Your brain equates the relationship with safety, even when it's the thing that's hurting you. I remember being on the living room floor after 10 years of abuse, and I was in the midst of my first panic attack, sobbing, thinking that I would never find love again if I left him, that I would die alone, that I was broken. And guess what? That wasn't the truth. That was the trauma bond. You will absolutely love again. But the next time, it'll be safe and peaceful and mutual. And it may feel boring at first because your nervous system was trained to crave that chaos. If the idea of leaving them feels like death, you're not doomed. You're bonded, and bonds can break. So what now, right? If any or all of this hits home, let's talk about what your next steps are. First next step, take my free trauma bond quiz. I created it so that it will help you to identify exactly where you are in this pattern. Sometimes seeing your answers reflected back is the moment that everything clicks. It's not about labeling yourself, it's about getting clarity. And clarity is kind of that first crack in the bond. The second thing that you can do is learn the science. Trauma bonding is rooted in neuroscience and attachment wounds. When you understand that your body has been trained to crave the abuser's approval, you stop blaming yourself and you start to reclaim your power. I talk a lot more about this in my How to Heal from Brain Damage, so you can check that out. I'll link it below. The next thing that you can do is start no contact or low contact if you share children. I have a whole YouTube video about why no contact is so effective. And if you can't go full no contact because you share parenting or safety concerns, low contact or gray rock are still really powerful. The key is distance, detox, and reclaiming yourself. The next thing you can do is focus on rebuilding you. The trauma bond breaks down your sense of self, right? Your routines, it breaks down your identity, your intuition. And that's why I created my She's Up handbook. It's a great way for you to begin to reclaim all the little things. Start small, focusing on things like, mindset and movement and listening and writing and planning and community. You can rebuild, and you can not just survive, you can thrive. You're not crazy, you're trauma bonded, but you can heal. So if this video spoke to you in any way, if you felt seen at all, please don't stay silent. Take the free trauma bond quiz. It's linked in the description. Subscribe if you would like some more no BS tools for healing, and drop a comment if you're breaking free or if this hits home. I read every single one. And check out, of course, all of the links to all of my other resources down below. You're not broken, you're trauma bonded, and I promise you can break it. I'm rooting for you.